An 8-year-old girl's desperate text flashes onto a stranger's phone. He locked Mama, but it doesn't reach Grandma. It lands in the hands of the city's most feared Mafia boss, who replies with 3 words that ignite hell itself. I'm on my way. What he finds behind that apartment door will unleash a war no one is ready for. If this story pulled you in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next. I've got another unforgettable story dropping tomorrow. And while you're here, jump into the comments and tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing our community from all around the world. All right, let's get back into it. The fear clawing through 8-year-old Amy Green's chest was nothing compared to the sounds coming from down the hall. Her mother's muffled screams, the slam of a door, the click of a lock turning. Amy sat frozen on her bed in gray pajamas, knees pulled tight to her chest, her small hands wrapped around her phone like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Through the thin apartment walls, she could hear him, her stepfather's heavy boots pacing, his voice a low growl punctuated by words she was too young to understand but old enough to fear. "Lily," he called out, his tone sharp as broken glass. "You think you can protect her from me? You think locking yourself in there changes anything?" Amy's breath came in short, shallow gasps. Her mother had pushed her into her bedroom and locked the door from outside before running to the bathroom. That was 10 minutes ago. Now Amy could hear her mother crying, begging. The sound made Amy's stomach twist into knots. She needed help. She needed Grandma. With trembling fingers that barely seemed to work, Amy pulled up her grandmother's contact and typed with both thumbs, tears blurring the screen. Each letter felt impossible. He locked Mama. Please help. She hit send and waited, her small body shaking so hard the bed creaked beneath her. The hallway went quiet. Too quiet. "Amy!" Her stepfather's voice boomed through her bedroom door. "Put that phone down, little girl. Now!" Her phone buzzed. Relief crashed through her like a wave until she read the response. "Who is this?" Amy's entire body went cold. No. No, no, no. She swiped back to the message thread and felt her stomach drop through the floor. In her panic, her tears, her shaking hands, she'd typed the wrong contact. The number on the screen wasn't Grandma's. It wasn't anyone she knew. Before she could breathe, another message appeared. "Where are you? How old are you?" Footsteps stopped outside her bedroom door. The handle rattled violently. "I'm gonna count to 3, Amy. Then this door's coming down. 1. Her small fingers flew across the screen, typing faster than she'd ever typed in her life. "I'm 8. He locked my mama in the bathroom. A's gonna hurt us. 2,247 Riverside Apartments. 15. Please don't call police. He says he knows people." It was true. Her stepfather always said he had connections, that nobody could touch him, that if her mother ever tried to leave or call the cops, it would be the last mistake she ever made. 2. Another message appeared. "Stay away from the door. I'm on my way." 3 miles across the city, in the back of a black luxury sedan, Tyrone Portis stared at his phone screen, his tattooed fingers tightening around the device until his knuckles went white. The overhead light cast sharp shadows across his angular face, dark hair slicked back, jaw carved from stone, a thin scar cutting through his left eyebrow. His black suit was immaculate. His expression was murder. The driver glanced in the rearview mirror. "Boss? Everything all right?" Tyrone's voice came out low, deadly calm. "How fast can you get to Riverside?" 15 minutes in this traffic. "Make it 5. The car engine roared as the driver accelerated, weaving through evening traffic. Tyrone typed another message to the unknown number, his jaw flexing. "What's your name?" The response came back immediately, letters shaky and misspelled. "Amy, has comin'." Tyrone shoved his phone in his pocket and leaned forward. "There's a child in that apartment. If we're not there in 5 minutes, I'm jumping out and running." Nobody questioned him. Nobody asked why. The soldiers who worked for Tyrone Portis had learned years ago that when their boss gave an order in that particular tone, cold, absolute, lethal, you obeyed. 4.5 minutes later, the sedan screeched to a stop in front of a rundown apartment building. Tyrone was out before the car fully stopped, his Italian leather shoes hitting cracked pavement as he strode toward the entrance like a storm given human form. He took the stairs 3 at a time, his coat billowing behind him. When he reached the 3rd floor, he could already hear it, a man's voice roaring, a woman screaming, and beneath it all, the sound of a child crying. Unit 15. Tyrone didn't knock. He didn't announce himself. He simply took 1 step back and kicked the door in with a single, devastating blow. The apartment fell silent. A man stood in the hallway, tall, broad-shouldered, face flushed with rage and alcohol. He spun toward the destroyed door, his eyes going wide. Who the hell? He stopped mid-sentence. Recognition flashed across his face, followed immediately by naked terror. "Tyrone Portis," the man whispered, the color draining from his face. Tyrone said nothing. He simply walked forward, each step deliberate, controlled. His eyes swept the apartment, the overturned furniture, the broken glass, the locked bathroom door at the end of the hall. And there, peeking out from a bedroom doorway, was a little girl with dark hair and red-rimmed eyes, clutching a phone in both hands. "Amy." Tyrone's voice, when he finally spoke, was quieter than a whisper and twice as deadly. "You picked the wrong night to hurt a child." The man who'd been terrorizing Amy and her mother took a stumbling step backward, his hands raising in a gesture that was half surrender, half denial. "Look, man, this is a domestic situation. This is my family. You got no business." Tyrone closed the distance between them in 2 strides. His tattooed hand shot out, gripping the man's throat and slamming him against the wall with enough force to crack the drywall. "Your family?" His voice was ice wrapped in razors. "That little girl just texted a stranger begging for help because she was so terrified of you." Amy watched from her doorway, her whole body trembling. She'd never seen anyone move like that so fast, so powerful, so absolutely certain. Her stepfather, who'd seemed like a giant, now looked small, pressed against the wall, his feet barely touching the ground. "Please," her stepfather choked out. She doesn't understand." "No." Tyrone's grip tightened. "You don't understand. That bathroom door. Open it. Now." He released the man, who collapsed to his knees, gasping. For a moment, Amy thought he might refuse. Then he saw Tyrone's face, the absolute absence of mercy, and scrambled toward the bathroom, fumbling with his keys. The lock clicked. "Mama!" Amy's voice cracked as she ran from her bedroom, her bare feet slapping against the worn carpet. The bathroom door swung open, revealing Lily Green slumped against the bathtub, her face bruised, her lips split and bleeding. Her eyes were glazed with pain and fear. When she saw her daughter, something broke in her expression. "Amy, baby, stay back." But Amy was already there, throwing her small arms around her mother's neck, sobbing into her shoulder. Lily wrapped her arms around her daughter with a fierce desperation, her body shaking with silent tears. Tyrone stood in the doorway, his jaw flexing. For just a moment, something flickered behind his eyes, something old and buried and painful. Then it was gone, replaced by cold calculation. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Victor, I need a cleanup crew at Riverside Apartments, Unit 15, and get me Dr. Santos. Tell him I'm bringing someone who needs immediate attention." He paused. "Yes, tonight. Now." Amy's stepfather tried to crawl toward the front door. Tyrone's foot came down on his back, pinning him to the floor like an insect. "You're not going anywhere." Tyrone's voice held a promise of violence. "Victor will handle you personally, and trust me, whatever connections you think you have, they just evaporated." He crouched down beside Amy and her mother, his expression softening in a way that would have shocked anyone who knew him. "Amy," he said quietly, "I'm the person you texted. My name is Tyrone. I'm going to get you and your mama out of here, okay?" Amy lifted her tear-stained face, her dark eyes meeting his. You came. I told you I would, but I sent it to the wrong number." Tyrone's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Maybe it was the right number after all. Lily looked up at him, confusion and fear warring in her expression. "Who are you? Why are you helping us?" "Because your daughter asked me to." He stood, then extended his hand. "Can you walk?" Lily tried to stand, but her legs gave out. Tyrone caught her before she hit the floor, lifting her into his arms with surprising gentleness. She was light, too light, he noticed, like she'd been forgetting to eat for a long time. "Amy, sweetie, grab whatever's important to you. We're leaving." His voice remained soft, non-threatening. "You're never coming back here." Amy darted to her room and returned seconds later clutching a stuffed rabbit with one ear missing and her phone. "I'm ready." Tyrone carried Lily toward the destroyed front door, Amy following close behind, her small hand gripping the edge of his suit jacket. As they passed her stepfather, still pinned to the floor, Amy paused. "You said nobody could help us," she whispered. "You said you knew people. But you didn't know him." The man said nothing, his face pressed against the carpet, terror keeping him silent. Outside, the sedan was waiting, engine running. 2 men in dark suits stood beside it, Victor and another Tyrone didn't introduce. They took one look at the little girl and the injured woman, and their expressions hardened. "Handle it," Tyrone said simply as he settled Lily into the back seat. "Permanently," Victor nodded. "Consider it done, boss." Amy climbed in beside her mother, immediately curling into her side. Tyrone slid in after them, careful to give them space, but close enough that Amy could still grip his jacket if she needed to. As the car pulled away from the curb, Amy watched the apartment building disappear through the rear window. She'd lived there for 2 years, 2 years of walking on eggshells, of hiding in her room, of trying to be invisible. "Where are we going?" Lily asked, her voice hoarse. "Somewhere safe," Tyrone replied. "Somewhere he'll never find you." Amy looked up at him. This stranger with the scary tattoos and the gentle voice who'd kicked down a door because an 8-year-old girl had sent a text to the wrong number. "Thank you," she whispered. Tyrone looked down at her, and for the first time in 15 years, felt something crack in the armor around his heart. "You're welcome, Amy." The penthouse was nothing like Amy had ever seen before. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city's glittering skyline, and everything from the marble floors to the leather furniture screamed expensive. But what struck her most was the silence. After years of yelling and breaking glass and heavy footsteps, the quiet felt like stepping into another world. "Amy, stay close to your mama," Tyrone said as he carried Lily through the entrance. 2 men in suits flanked the doorway, their eyes widening slightly at the sight of their boss carrying a battered woman with a child trailing behind. An older man in glasses and a pressed shirt rushed forward, medical bag in hand. "Mr. Portis, I came as quickly as—" He stopped, taking in Lily's injuries. His professional mask slipped for just a moment. "My God. Dr. Santos." Tyrone's voice was controlled, but Amy heard the edge beneath it. "Guest bedroom. Now." They moved through the penthouse like a practiced unit. Dr. Santos led the way. Tyrone followed with Lily still cradled against his chest, and Amy hurried behind, her stuffed rabbit clutched tight. She was afraid that if she let Tyrone out of her sight, this would all disappear, that she'd wake up back in that apartment, back in that nightmare. The guest bedroom was bigger than their entire apartment had been. Tyrone laid Lily gently on the bed, stepping back to give Dr. Santos room to work. "Amy," the doctor said kindly, pulling out his stethoscope, "I need to examine your mother. Would you like to wait outside with Mr. Portis?" "No." Amy's voice was small but firm. She climbed onto the bed beside her mother, taking her hand. "I'm staying." Lily squeezed her daughter's fingers weakly. "Baby, it's okay. I'm okay now." "You're not okay." Amy's eyes filled with tears again. "He hurt you really bad, Mama." Dr. Santos exchanged a glance with Tyrone, who nodded once. "Let her stay," Tyrone said. "She's earned the right to see her mother treated with respect." For the next 30 minutes, Amy watched as Dr. Santos worked. He cleaned Lily's wounds with careful hands, checked her ribs, examined the bruising around her neck. Through it all, Lily held Amy's hand, occasionally wincing but never crying out. "3 cracked ribs, doctor," Santos finally announced, snapping his bag closed. "Severe bruising, a mild concussion, and lacerations that will heal with time. You're lucky, Mrs. Green, just Lily." She looked at Tyrone, standing like a statue near the door. "And I'm not married. Not to him. Never to him. You'll need rest, pain medication, and monitoring for the next 48 hours. I'll check on you tomorrow, doctor." Santos stood, then paused. "You should know, ma'am. Injuries like these if you'd waited much longer." "She won't have to wait for anything ever again," Tyrone interrupted. His tone left no room for argument. After the doctor left, silence settled over the room. Amy could hear the faint hum of the city below, the tick of an expensive clock somewhere down the hall. Her mother's breathing had finally steadied, and the terror that had been Amy's constant companion for so long began to loosen its grip. "I don't understand," Lily said quietly. "Why are you doing this? You don't know us." Tyrone moved to the window, hands in his pockets, his back to them. "Your daughter sent me a message. She was terrified. She needed help." He turned, and Amy saw something in his expression she couldn't quite name. "I don't ignore messages like that. But you're—" Lily hesitated. "You're Tyrone Portis. I've heard that name. People in our building, they whisper about you. They say you're dangerous." He didn't flinch from the word. "I am violent? Also true. But I have rules, Lily, and one of them is that children don't suffer. Not on my watch. Not ever." Amy slid off the bed and walked toward him, her bare feet silent on the plush carpet. She stopped directly in front of him, tilting her head back to look up at his face, the sharp jaw, the scar through his eyebrow, the tattoos creeping up his neck. "Are you a bad man?" she asked. The question hung in the air. Tyrone crouched down so they were eye level, his expression serious. "I've done bad things, Amy. Things I'm not proud of. But I've never hurt someone who didn't deserve it. And I would never, ever hurt you or your mama. Do you believe me?" Amy studied his face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "You saved us. Bad men don't do that." Something shifted in Tyrone's expression, a crack in the foundation, a wall beginning to crumble. He reached out and gently tucked a strand of Amy's dark hair behind her ear. "You're a brave kid. You know that? I was scared. Brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you're scared and you do it anyway. You texted for help even though you were terrified. That's courage." Amy threw her arms around his neck, surprising them both. Tyrone froze for a moment, then slowly wrapped his arms around her small frame, careful not to hold too tight. "Thank you for coming," Amy whispered against his shoulder. Nobody ever came before. Over her head, Tyrone met Lily's eyes. She was crying silently, one hand pressed to her mouth. "I'll always come," Tyrone said quietly. And in that moment, he meant it with every fiber of his being. "Both of you are safe now. I promise." Amy woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the soft weight of blankets that smelled like lavender instead of mildew and fear. For a disorienting moment, she didn't know where she was. Then it all came rushing back, the text, the stranger, the rescue, Tyrone. She sat up slowly, finding herself in a small bedroom adjacent to her mother's. Someone had changed her into fresh pajamas while she slept soft, expensive cotton that didn't have any holes. Her stuffed rabbit sat on the nightstand, propped up like it was keeping watch. Voices drifted from somewhere in the penthouse, male voices, low and careful. Amy slipped out of bed and padded to the door, pressing her ear against it. "Absolutely insane, boss." That was a voice she didn't recognize. "You brought them here? To your home?" "I'm aware of where I brought them, Victor." Tyrone's voice was ice. "But a civilian woman and a kid? You've got enemies who'd kill for information like this. You've spent 15 years making sure nobody knows where you sleep. And now I have 2 people under my protection who needed somewhere safe. Are you questioning my judgment?" A pause. "No, boss. Never. I'm just concerned." "Your concern is noted. Relay this to everyone. These 2 are untouchable. Anyone who even looks at them wrong answers to me personally. Understood?" "Understood." Amy heard footsteps approaching and scrambled back to bed, pulling the covers up just as her door opened. Tyrone stood in the doorway, already dressed in a fresh black suit, his hair still damp from a shower. "You're a terrible pretender," he said, the corner of his mouth twitching. "I heard you at the door." Amy sat up sheepishly. "Sorry, don't be. It's smart to gather information about your surroundings." He stepped into the room, and Amy noticed he was carrying a tray. "I wasn't sure what you liked, so I got a little of everything." The tray held pancakes, fruit, orange juice, and scrambled eggs arranged like something from a restaurant. Amy stared. "This is all for me? You didn't eat last night. Growing kids need breakfast." He set the tray on the bed beside her, then hesitated. "Your mother's still sleeping. Doctor Santos says that's good, her body needs to heal." Amy picked up a fork, then put it down. "What happens now?" Tyrone pulled up a chair and sat, resting his elbows on his knees. "Now you stay here until your mother is better. Then we figure out what comes next." "What about him?" She couldn't say the word stepfather. "What about him? He's not your problem anymore. He'll never be anyone's problem again." Something in his tone told Amy not to ask for details. She took a bite of pancake instead. It was the best thing she'd ever tasted, fluffy and sweet with real butter and syrup. "Why do those men call you bosses?" she asked between bites. "Because I am their boss. I run a business." "What kind of business?" Tyrone studied her for a long moment. "The kind where I make sure people follow rules. Sometimes people need convincing to do the right thing." "Are you like a policeman?" He almost smiled. "Not exactly. More like someone who handles problems the police can't or won't fix." Amy processed this, chewing thoughtfully. "The man who hurt us, he said the police wouldn't help because he knew important people. He was right about that. But he didn't know me. And you're more important than the people he knew? In the ways that matter?" "Yes." For the next hour, Amy ate while Tyrone sat with her, answering her questions with careful honesty. She learned that he lived alone, that he didn't have family, that the men who worked for him were loyal because he protected them. "Don't you get lonely?" Amy asked, scraping the last of the syrup from her plate. The question seemed to catch him off guard. I used to think being alone was safer. For everyone. But not anymore?" Tyrone looked at this small girl with dark hair and eyes too old for her age, and something tightened in his chest. "Maybe not anymore." A soft knock interrupted them. Victor appeared in the doorway. "Boss, I hate to interrupt, but there's a situation requiring your attention." Tyrone stood, buttoning his suit jacket. "I have to go handle some business. You'll stay here with your mother. My men will be outside if you need anything." Amy's hand shot out, grabbing his sleeve. "You're coming back, right?" He looked down at her small fingers clutching the expensive fabric, and that crack in his armor widened just a little more. "I'm coming back, I promise. You promised last night too. And you came. And I always will." He gently extracted his sleeve, then did something that surprised them both. He ruffled her hair like a father might. "Be good for your mama when she wakes up." Amy watched him leave, then climbed out of bed and went to check on her mother. Lily was awake, staring at the ceiling with tears sliding down her temples. "Mama?" Lily turned her head, and when she saw her daughter safe and clean and fed, she broke down completely. Amy climbed onto the bed and curled into her mother's side, careful of her ribs. "We're okay," Amy whispered. "We're really okay now." "How?" Lily's voice cracked. "How is this real?" Amy thought about the tattooed man who'd kicked down their door, who'd carried her mother like she weighed nothing, who'd promised they were safe. "I think I texted an angel by mistake," she said softly. "A really scary angel." 3 days passed in the penthouse like a dream Amy was afraid to wake from. Her mother grew stronger each day, the bruises fading from purple to yellow, her movements becoming less painful. Dr. Santos visited twice daily, and each time he left with an approving nod. But it was Tyrone's presence that transformed those days from a temporary refuge into something that felt dangerously close to home. He returned every evening at 6 o'clock sharp, always in his black suit, always with that controlled intensity that made grown men step aside. But when he crossed the threshold and saw Amy, something in his expression softened. On the 3rd evening, Amy was waiting by the door when he arrived. "You're predictable," she said, trying to sound serious like he did. "Predictability and routine creates safety," he replied, loosening his tie. "Where's your mother?" "Taking a bath. Dr. Santos said she could as long as she's careful." Amy fell into step beside him as he walked to the kitchen. "What's for dinner?" "I thought we'd order from that Italian place. The one with the breadsticks you liked." Amy's eyes widened. "You remembered?" "I remember everything important." While Tyrone made the call, Amy climbed onto one of the bar stools, her legs swinging. She'd been working up the courage to ask him something all day. "Tyrone? He was scrolling through his phone, probably reading messages from his business. "Can I ask you something personal?" He looked up, his full attention now on her. "You can ask me anything, Amy. Why don't you have a family?" The question hung in the air. Tyrone set his phone down slowly, his jaw flexing that thing he did when he was feeling something he didn't want to show. "I had a family once," he said finally. "A long time ago. What happened? They were taken from me. By people who wanted to hurt me." His voice was carefully controlled, but Amy heard the pain underneath. "After that, I decided it was safer not to care about anyone. Caring makes you vulnerable. Vulnerable gets you killed in my world." Amy absorbed this, her small face serious. "But you care about us now." "Yes." The admission seemed to cost him something. "I do. Does that scare you?" Tyrone looked at this 8-year-old child who asked questions like a philosopher, and felt something shift fundamentally in his chest. "Terrifies me." "Good," Amy said firmly. "Mama says being scared of losing something means it's worth keeping." Before he could respond, Lily emerged from the hallway, her damp hair pulled back, wearing clothes that actually fit courtesy of a shopping trip Victor had arranged. She moved slowly but steadily, and the fear that had lived in her eyes for so long had begun to fade. "Amy, baby, you shouldn't interrogate our host," Lily said gently. "She's not interrogating. She's asking good questions." Tyrone stood, pulling out a chair. "Sit. Dinner will be here soon." Lily hesitated, then sat. "Tyrone, we need to talk about what comes next. We can't stay here forever." "Why not?" The blunt question threw her. Because this is your home, your private space. We're intruding." "You're not." His tone left no room for argument. "You're recovering. Both of you. And until I'm satisfied you're safe, you stay. Safe from what? He's gone, you said. He had friends, associates, people who might come looking for answers about what happened to him. Tyrone leaned forward, his expression serious. I've handled most of them. But until I'm certain there are no loose ends, you don't leave this building without protection. Lily's face paled. My God, what have we gotten you into? Nothing I couldn't handle before breakfast. He said it so matter-of-factly that Amy almost giggled. Lily, I need you to understand something. The moment I got that text from your daughter, you both became my responsibility. I don't take that lightly. But why? Lily's voice cracked. Why do you care so much? You don't know us. Tyrone was quiet for a long moment, his eyes distant. When I was 12, my mother tried to leave my father. He was similar to the man you were with, connected, violent, untouchable. He paused, his hands clenching into fists. She called the police 7 times. They never helped. She called her family. They said she made her bed. She called a women's shelter. They had no room. Amy slid off her stool and moved to Tyrone's side, her small hand finding his. She died alone in our apartment while I was at school. He made it look like an accident, and everyone believed him because he had money, had connections, had power. Tyrone looked down at Amy, then at Lily. Nobody came when she needed help. Nobody broke down the door. Nobody saved her. Tears streamed down Lily's face. So when your daughter sent that text, when she said, "He locked Mama," I didn't think. I just moved. Because maybe if someone had done that for my mother, his voice caught, just for a second, maybe she'd still be here. Amy squeezed his hand. I'm glad you came for us. So am I, kid. So am I. The doorbell rang, dinner arriving. But none of them moved immediately. They sat in that moment. 3 broken people who'd found each other by accident, beginning to understand that sometimes the wrong number is exactly the right one. Finally, Tyrone stood. I'll get the food. Amy, grab plates. Lily, just sit there and let us take care of you for once. And for the first time in years, Lily let someone else be strong. 2 weeks into their stay, Amy's laughter had become a regular sound in the penthouse, something Tyrone's men noted with mixture of confusion and cautious approval. The child had transformed their boss's cold sanctuary into something that almost resembled a home. But while Amy drew pictures at the kitchen counter and Lily grew stronger each day, shadows were gathering in the city below. Victor stood in Tyrone's office, his expression grim. Boss, we have a problem. Tyrone looked up from the documents he'd been reviewing, instantly alert. What kind of problem? Word's gotten out, about the woman and the kid. Victor pulled out his phone, showing Tyrone a series of surveillance photos, grainy images of Lily and Amy entering the building with Tyrone's men flanking them. These hit the streets yesterday. People are asking questions. Tyrone's jaw clenched. Which people? Dmitry Volkov's crew. The Hernandez family. Even some of the old guard from the east side. Victor hesitated. They're calling it a weakness, boss. Saying Tyrone Portis has gone soft. That you're protecting civilians in your own home. I don't care what they call it. You should. Because Volkov's been looking for leverage against you for 3 years. Ever since you took over his distribution network. And now he thinks he's found it. Tyrone stood, walking to the window that overlooked the city. In the reflection, he could see into the living room where Amy was teaching her mother how to play a video game, both of them laughing. How bad is it? Bad enough that I've doubled security, rerouted our schedules, changed all access codes. Victor moved beside him. But boss, you know what this means. As long as they're here, they're targets. And so are you. Then we make it clear what happens to anyone who comes near them. We've already sent that message, 6 times in the last 2 weeks. Victor's voice dropped. People are still testing the boundaries. Last night, someone tried to hack our security system. We caught them, handled it, but they're not going to stop. Tyrone finished the thought, his reflection's expression darkening. They see an opening. From the living room, Amy's voice rang out. Tyrone, come see! Mama got to level 5. He turned away from the window, his face smoothing into something gentler. I'll be right there. After Victor left, Tyrone joined them in the living room. Amy immediately scooted over on the couch, patting the space between her and her mother. It had become their routine, Tyrone sitting between them. Amy leaning against his side while Lily sat close enough that their shoulders touched. It felt normal, comfortable, dangerous. Watch this move, Mama learned. Amy grabbed the controller, demonstrating with the enthusiasm only an 8-year-old could muster. Tyrone watched, his mind split between the innocent joy in front of him and the threat assessment running in the background. He'd fought gang wars, survived assassination attempts, built an empire on fear and calculated violence. But this protecting two people who'd somehow slipped past every defense he'd spent 15 years constructing was different. This scared him. Later that evening, after Amy had fallen asleep on the couch, Tyrone carried her to bed. She stirred as he laid her down, her hand catching his wrist. "Don't go," she mumbled, half asleep. "I'm just in the next room. Promise?" "Promise." He pulled the blanket up to her chin, and she released him, drifting back to sleep with her rabbit tucked under her arm. When he returned to the living room, Lily was still awake, curled in the corner of the couch. She looked up as he entered, her expression troubled. "She's getting attached to you," Lily said quietly. "I know. Is that okay? With your life? Your work?" Tyrone poured himself a glass of whiskey, considering his words carefully. "No, it's not okay. It's the opposite of okay. Everything I've built is designed to keep people at a distance." He took a drink. "But I can't seem to stay away from either of you." Lily stood, moving to stand beside him at the window. "I hear things. Your men talking. About people asking questions. About you changing your routines to keep us safe." She looked up at him. "We're putting you in danger, aren't we?" He didn't answer immediately, which was answer enough. "Maybe we should leave," she continued, her voice breaking slightly. "Find somewhere else. We've taken enough from you." "No." The word came out harder than he intended. "You're not leaving. Not yet." "Tyrone, do you know what I do, Lily? Really do?" He turned to face her. "I hurt people. I make them disappear. I control territories through fear and violence. I'm not a good man. You saved us. I saved you because your daughter's text reminded me of every time my mother needed saving, and no one came." His voice roughened. "But the men who work for me, the enemies I've made, they don't care about my reasons. They care about finding weakness. And you too." He stopped, jaw clenching. "You're the first weakness I've had in 15 years. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Then we'll go. Tomorrow. We'll disappear, and they'll find you within 48 hours. Hunt you down to get to me." He set down his glass, his hands flexing. "No. You stay where I can protect you. Even if it costs you everything?" Tyrone looked at her, this woman who'd survived hell, who'd raised a brave daughter in impossible circumstances, who was offering to walk back into danger to protect him. "Even then," he said quietly, "the morning started like any other." Amy woke to the smell of coffee, and her mother's soft humming from the kitchen sounds that had become the soundtrack of safety. She padded out in her pajamas, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Morning, baby." Lily kissed the top of her head. "Pancakes? With chocolate chips? Is there any other kind?" Amy giggled and climbed onto her usual stool. Through the penthouse windows, the city stretched out below them, bathed in early sunlight. Everything felt normal, peaceful. She didn't notice the man watching from the building across the street. Tyrone had left before dawn for a meeting he couldn't postpone. Victor and 2 other guards were stationed throughout the penthouse. But their presence had become so routine that Amy barely registered them anymore. After breakfast, Amy asked if she could play in the rooftop garden, a small private oasis Tyrone had shown her last week. It had become her favorite spot, with its flowering plants and wooden benches, and the way the city noise seemed distant up there. "Take Marcus with you," Lily said, nodding to one of the guards. "And stay where he can see you." "I will, Mama. I promise." The rooftop garden was quiet, dappled with morning light filtering through the pergola. Amy settled on her favorite bench with her sketchbook, drawing a picture of a little girl and a tall man with tattoos. She'd decided to give it to Tyrone when he got home. Marcus stood near the door, speaking quietly into his phone. "Yeah. Boss wants an update on the South Side situation. Tell him." A noise near the service entrance made Amy look up. A woman in maintenance coveralls was wheeling a cart toward the air conditioning units. She smiled at Amy, friendly, normal. Amy smiled back and returned to her drawing. She didn't see the woman signal to someone below. "Hey, sweetie." The woman approached, her voice kind. "That's a beautiful picture. Who's that supposed to be?" "It's Tyrone. And me." Amy held it up proudly. "See? I gave him the scar on his eyebrow. Very detailed. You know, there's a whole bunch of flowers on the other side that would be perfect for drawing. Different colors. Wanna see?" Amy hesitated, glancing at Marcus. He was still on his phone, his back partially turned. "It's just around that corner," the woman said, pointing to a section beyond Marcus's direct line of sight. Real pretty. Something Tyrone had taught her whispered in the back of Amy's mind. Listen to your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. But the woman seemed nice. And it was just around the corner. Marcus was right there. Okay, Amy said, sliding off the bench. But just for a minute. The moment she stepped around the corner, rough hands grabbed her. A cloth pressed over her mouth, chemical sweet and suffocating. Amy tried to scream, but the sound came out muffled. She kicked and thrashed, her sketchbook falling to the ground. Got her, a male voice hissed. Go, go, go! Amy's vision blurred. She heard Marcus shouting, footsteps running, but everything was becoming distant and fuzzy. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was her drawing the little girl and the man with the scar fluttering away in the morning breeze. Tyrone was in the middle of a negotiation when his phone buzzed. He ignored it. The second buzz came 30 seconds later. Then a third. He glanced down. 7 missed calls from Victor. His blood turned to ice. We're done here, he announced, standing abruptly. But we haven't finished, the man across from him started. Tyrone's expression made him stop mid-sentence. I said we're done. He was dialing Victor before he reached the door. His second-in-command answered on the first ring, voice tight with controlled panic. Boss, they took her. The world stopped. Say that again. Amy, they took Amy. Rooftop garden, 20 minutes ago. Marcus is down Trank Dart. They had inside information, knew our rotations, our blind spots. Victor's voice cracked. Boss, I'm sorry. They planned this. We found her sketchbook, but Tyrone didn't hear the rest. Blood roared in his ears. His vision tunneled. For a moment, he was 12 years old again, coming home to find his mother gone. The same helplessness, the same rage. Then the soldier in him kicked in. Lock down the building. I want every surveillance feed from the last hour. Traffic cameras. Security footage from every building within a 6-block radius. His voice was deadly calm. Who did this? We're still analyzing, but boss, there was a note. What note? Pinned to where Marcus fell. It says, you care about something now. That was your mistake. She's our insurance. We'll be in touch. Tyrone's hand clenched around the phone so hard the screen cracked. Lily, devastated, blaming herself. I've got men with her, but I'm 5 minutes out. Tyrone was already in his car, engine roaring to life. Victor, activate everyone. Every contact, every informant, every person who owes us a favor. I want to know who did this, where they took her, and how many men they have. Already on it, boss. And Victor, when we find them, and we will find them, there won't be enough left to identify. He ended the call and pressed the accelerator to the floor. Images flashed through his mind. Amy's bright eyes, her small hand gripping his sleeve, her whispered, "You're coming back, right?" He'd promised he'd always come. He'd promised she was safe. And he'd failed. The city blurred past as Tyrone Portis became something he hadn't been in years, desperate. And desperate was the most dangerous thing he could be. The penthouse had transformed into a war room within 30 minutes of Tyrone's return. Maps covered every surface. Laptops displayed traffic, camera feeds, and 24 of his most trusted men filled the space, their usual casual demeanor replaced with rigid tension. Tyrone stood at the center like the eye of a hurricane, his suit jacket discarded, shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal the full extent of his tattoos. His face was carved from stone, but his eyes burned with something that made even his most hardened soldiers nervous. Lily sat on the couch, clutching Amy's stuffed rabbit, tears streaming silently down her face. She hadn't spoken since they'd told her, just held that worn toy and stared at nothing. "Talk," Tyrone commanded, his voice cutting through the organized chaos. Victor stepped forward, tablet in hand. "We've identified the woman from the maintenance company. Name's Karen Foster, works for a legitimate HVAC service. She has no criminal record, no known gang affiliations. Someone got to her, paid her, or threatened her." Tyrone's jaw flexed. "Find her, now. Already have people on it. But boss, there's more." Victor swiped through several images. The van that took Amy? Registered to a shell company. Traced it back through 3 holding corporations until we hit a name you're going to recognize. He turned the tablet. The name on the screen made several men in the room inhale sharply. "Dmitry Volkov. That Russian bastard," one of the men muttered. Tyrone's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. How long has he been planning this? Best guess? Since the photos of you with Lily and Amy hit the streets 2 weeks ago. He's been watching, learning routines, finding weaknesses. Victor pulled up more data. "We've intercepted chatter from his organization. They're calling Amy insurance. They want territory back, the docks you took from him last year, specifically. He kidnapped a child for shipping docks. He kidnapped a child because he knows you'll burn the world down to get her back. He thinks it makes him powerful, gives him leverage. Tyrone moved to the window, his hands clasped behind his back. The city stretched below his city, built on calculated violence and iron control. He'd clawed his way to the top by being smarter, more ruthless, more disciplined than everyone else. But none of that meant anything if he couldn't save one 8-year-old girl. "What's our timeline?" he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "They took her at 9:17 a.m. It's now 11:43. We're tracking every vehicle that left the area, cross-referencing with known Volkov properties." Victor hesitated. "Boss, protocol says they'll wait at least 24 hours before making contact. Standard kidnapping playbook let you panic, soften you up for negotiations. Volkov doesn't know me as well as he thinks." Tyrone turned from the window. "I don't negotiate. I don't wait. And I sure as hell don't let people take what's mine and live to tell about it." "What are your orders?" "Activate every asset. I want eyes on every property. Volkov owns warehouses, clubs, restaurants, his mother's house if necessary. Offer rewards. 50,000 for information leading to Amy's location. Double that if it leads to Volkov himself." Tyrone's voice was ice wrapped in razors. "And get me Marcus. I want to know exactly what happened on that roof." Marcus appeared minutes later, a bandage on his neck where the tranquilizer dart had hit, his face ashen with shame. "Boss, tell me everything, every detail, no matter how small." Marcus straightened despite his obvious distress. The woman approached Amy, said something about flowers on the other side of the garden. Amy hesitated. She looked at me first, like she was checking if it was okay. I should have been paying more attention, but I was on the phone with the Southside crew about focus on Amy. She walked around the corner. Maybe 10 steps, total. I heard her scream muffled, like something was over her mouth. By the time I turned, I felt the dart hit my neck. I tried to fight it, tried to get to her, but the tranq was fast-acting. Military grade. His voice cracked. "I failed her, boss. I failed you." Tyrone studied the younger man. "How many attackers?" "At least 3, maybe 4. They had extraction plan to the second, timed it perfectly between surveillance sweeps. Which means they had inside information about our security rotation." The room went silent. Everyone understood the implication. "We have a leak," Victor said grimly. "Find it. Cut it out." Tyrone's tone left no doubt what he meant. "Anyone who helped put that child in danger burns. I don't care who they are or how long they've worked for us." His phone buzzed. "Unknown number." Everyone froze. Tyrone answered, putting it on speaker. "Speak." Dmitry Volkov's accented voice filled the room, smug and self-satisfied. "Tyrone Portis, the untouchable king. How does it feel, being touched? Where is she? The little girl? Safe, comfortable even, for now." A pause. "She's quite brave, your Amy. Barely cried when we took her. Just kept saying someone named Tyrone would come for her. Such faith. Almost sad, really." Tyrone's hands clenched into fists, but his voice remained dead calm. "What do you want, Dmitry?" "What I want? I want respect. I want recognition that you cannot simply take what's mine without consequences." His voice hardened. "I want the docks back, full control, no interference. You have 48 hours to transfer everything, property deeds, shipping contracts, all of it. Do this, and the girl comes home. And if I refuse, then Amy learns what happens to leverage that loses its value. Slowly, painfully." Volkov's smugness returned. "But you won't refuse. Everyone knows now, Tyrone Portis cares about this child. You saved her from her abusive stepfather like a hero from a movie. Very touching. Very exploitable. You made a mistake, Dmitry." "Oh? And what mistake is that?" "You assumed I'd negotiate. You assumed I'd trade territory for her safety." Tyrone's voice dropped to something that made even his own men step back. "You assumed I'd let you live long enough to collect. Brave words from a man whose weakness is currently zip-tied in my warehouse." 48 hours, Tyrone. Clocks." The line went dead. Tyrone had ended the call. "Did we trace it?" he asked immediately. One of the tech specialists nodded. "Got a location. Burner phone. But the cell tower ping puts him in the industrial district. Cross-referencing with known Volkov properties now. How many warehouses does he own there?" 7. "But boss, we don't know which one Amy's in. If we hit the wrong location, he'll know we're coming and We hit all 7. Simultaneously, Tyrone's jaw set. Victor, split our forces. 7 teams, 3 men each. Hit every warehouse at exactly midnight. I'll lead the main assault. That's spreading us thin. If Volkov has his full crew, he won't. He thinks he has 2 days. He thinks I'm panicking, making mistakes. He's expecting me to negotiate, to stall, to play the game. Tyrone's smile was blade sharp and absolutely terrifying. He's about to learn I don't play games with people who hurt children. Lily finally spoke, her voice hoarse. Will she be okay? Will Amy be? Tyrone moved to kneel in front of her, his expression softening just slightly. I will bring her home. I swear it on everything I am. That little girl has survived more than most adults. She's strong, she's smart, and she knows I'm coming. How do you know? Because I taught her. Small things, how to stay calm, how to observe, how to buy time. His voice roughened. I taught her without realizing I was preparing her for exactly this. She'll use everything I showed her. And when I kick down that door, she'll be ready. Lily grabbed his hand, squeezing hard. Bring my baby home. Count on it. Tyrone stood, addressing the room. Everyone not on a strike team. I want intelligence. Guard rotations, building layouts, exits, sight lines. I want to know everything about those warehouses down to what color the doors are painted. We have 10 hours to prepare for the most important operation we've ever run. What about the docks? Someone asked. Are we actually going to... The docks? Tyrone's laugh was utterly without humor. Volkov can have the docks. He can have every property I own. He can have my entire empire. His expression hardened into something ancient and merciless. Right after I bury him under it. The room erupted into organized chaos, men grabbing weapons, pulling up blueprints, coordinating timing. Victor approached Tyrone privately. Boss, you know this is exactly what he wants. You, emotional and reckless, making mistakes. I'm not being reckless, Victor. I'm being focused. Tyrone's eyes were cold fire. Volkov made a fundamental miscalculation. He thought taking Amy would make me weak, desperate, willing to surrender what I've built. Won't it? No. Tyrone checked his weapon, ejecting and reinserting the magazine with practiced precision. It'll make me the most dangerous thing that's ever come for him, because I'm not fighting for territory or pride or power anymore. I'm fighting for that little girl who texted a wrong number and somehow found the only person in this godforsaken city who'd burn it all down to save her. He looked at Victor directly. Spread the word. Tonight, Dmitry Volkov learns what happens when you touch something that belongs to Tyrone Portis, and make sure his whole organization hears it. After tonight, they'll tell stories, warnings, about the price of taking an 8-year-old girl from the wrong man. And what price is that, boss? Tyrone's smile was death itself. Everything. Amy woke to darkness and the smell of motor oil. Her head pounded. Her mouth tasted like chemicals, and when she tried to move, her hands wouldn't cooperate. Panic flooded through her before she remembered. Zip ties. She'd seen them on TV shows. The plastic kind that only tightened. Stay calm, she told herself in Tyrone's voice. Panic makes you stupid. Smart keeps you alive. She was sitting against a concrete wall in what looked like a warehouse huge, mostly empty, with high ceilings and windows too dirty to see through. 3 men sat at a table about 30 feet away, playing cards and laughing. One of them was huge, with a shaved head and tattoos covering his arms. Another was thin and nervous, constantly checking his phone. The third looked bored, smoking a cigarette. None of them were watching her very carefully. Amy tested the zip tie again, slowly, quietly. It bit into her wrists, but there was a tiny bit of give. She remembered something Tyrone had mentioned once, almost casually. Zip ties are strong, but if you can find something rough a corner, an edge you can saw through them. Takes time, though, and patience. She had both now. Amy scanned her surroundings without moving her head too much. Behind her, the concrete wall had exposed rebar poking through in places rough, jagged. She slowly began working her wrists against it, the plastic making tiny scratching sounds that were swallowed by the men's laughter. How much longer we gotta babysit? The nervous one whined. Boss said 48 hours. It's been 6. The big one threw down a card. Relax. I don't like it. Kidnapping a kid? That's heat we don't need. Heat? From who? Portis is gonna be too busy crying and negotiating to do anything. Volkov's got him by the balls. Amy kept sawing, her arms burning. The zip tie was fraying slowly, but definitely fraying. Still, the nervous one persisted. I heard stories about Portis. They say when he's angry, Stories. That's all they are. The smoker stubbed out his cigarette. He's just another gangster who got lucky. Now his luck's run out. The zip tie gave a little more. Amy could feel her hands loosening slightly. She forced herself not to rush, even though every instinct screamed at her to tear free and run. Observe first, Tyrone's voice reminded her. Know your exits. Count your enemies. Never run blind. She counted. 3 men. 1 door, the main entrance, heavy and metal. High windows too high to reach. And there, in the far corner behind some crates, what looked like a loading dock with a rolling door. If she could get there. Hours crawled by. The men got comfortable, assuming their 8-year-old captive was too scared to cause problems. They were half right. Amy was terrified, but she was also her mother's daughter. And she'd survived worse than this. The zip tie finally gave way just as the sun started setting outside. Amy felt it break but didn't move, keeping her hands behind her back as if still bound. She waited, watching, learning their patterns. The big one checked on her every hour. The nervous one kept looking at his phone. The smoker paced when he got bored. Be patient, she told herself. Wait for the right moment. That moment came at 11:47 p.m. when the nervous one got a phone call and stepped outside. And the smoker went to the bathroom in a back office. Only the big one remained, and he was focused on his phone, texting someone. Amy stood slowly, silently. Her legs had fallen asleep, pins and needles shooting through them, but she bit her lip and stayed quiet. She took 1 step toward the loading dock. The floor creaked. The big man's head snapped up. Hey, how did you? Amy ran. She was small and fast, weaving between crates as the man bellowed and gave chase. She could hear him behind her, his heavy boots pounding. But she'd spotted something earlier, a gap between 2 large shipping containers that was too narrow for an adult but perfect for her. She squeezed through just as his hand grabbed for her, emerging on the other side near the loading dock. The rolling door was partially open, maybe 2 feet of clearance at the bottom. Behind her, the man was forcing his way through the gap, cursing. The nervous one burst back inside. What's happening? The kid. She's loose. Amy dropped and rolled under the loading dock door, scraping her back but making it through. She found herself in an alley, dark and trash-strewn. She could hear them coming, shouting, the loading door grinding upward. She ran into the shadows, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might explode. She needed to hide, needed to. A hand clamped over her mouth. Amy tried to scream, but a familiar voice whispered in her ear. Quiet. It's me. She spun. Victor stood there, dressed all in black, a radio at his collar. His face was grim but relieved. Thank God. We've been searching every warehouse. Boss is tearing apart the one next door. Gunfire erupted in the distance. Not the sharp crack of pistols, but the sustained roar of automatic weapons. Victor's radio crackled. Team 1, we've got contact. This isn't Amy's location. Team 3, negative here. Team 5, nothing. Victor grabbed Amy and pulled her behind a dumpster just as 3 men burst from the warehouse, her captors, weapons drawn, looking for her. He tapped his radio twice, a signal, then whispered into it. Team 6, I have her. Repeat, I have the girl. Northeast Alley, Warehouse 7. The response was immediate. Boss is inbound. 30 seconds. Those 30 seconds felt eternal. Amy pressed against Victor, her whole body shaking. The 3 men were searching, spreading out, one moving closer to their hiding spot. Then the night exploded. A black SUV came screaming around the corner. No headlights, pure aggression. It didn't slow down. It didn't brake. It aimed directly for the men and accelerated. They scattered, but not fast enough. The SUV caught one, sending him flying. Before the others could react, the passenger door opened, and Tyrone Portis stepped out like death personified. He was covered in blood, none of it his. Amy was sure. His suit was torn. His face was a mask of controlled fury, and in his hand was a weapon that looked like something from an action movie. The nervous man raised his gun. He never got a shot off. Tyrone moved with terrifying precision, disarming, striking, destroying. It was over in seconds. The men weren't dead, but they weren't getting up anytime soon either. Then Tyrone's eyes found the dumpster where Amy and Victor hid. Amy? She couldn't help it. Despite everything Tyrone had taught her about staying hidden, about being smart, she ran to him. Tyrone dropped to his knees and caught her, his arms wrapping around her so tightly she could barely breathe. I knew you'd come, she sobbed into his shoulder. I knew it. I knew it. His hands were shaking, the first time Amy had ever seen him shake. I told you I always would. I told you. His voice cracked. God, Amy, I thought. I escaped. Like you taught me. The zip tie and the rough wall, and I watched them and I waited and you did perfect. You did so perfect. He pulled back just enough to scan her for injuries, his hands gentle despite the violence they'd just committed. Are you hurt? Did they? I'm okay. I'm scared, but I'm okay. More vehicles arrived. Tyrone's men, heavily armed, surrounding the area. Victor was already coordinating, barking orders into his radio. But Tyrone didn't move. He just held Amy, his forehead pressed against her hair. Boss, Victor said quietly. Volkov escaped. He wasn't at any of the warehouses. Tyrone's expression went flat. He's running, probably already at the airport. We can let him run. Tyrone stood, lifting Amy with him. She wrapped her arms around his neck and refused to let go. Let him run to the ends of the earth. He just bought himself a few extra hours of life. But that's all he bought. Hours. He carried Amy to the SUV, settling into the back seat with her still in his arms. She buried her face in his shoulder, finally letting herself fall apart now that she was safe. I was so scared, she whispered. I know, brave girl. I know. His hand stroked her hair, over and over, a soothing rhythm. But you stayed smart. You remembered everything. You saved yourself. I knew you were coming, though. That's what kept me brave. Something in Tyrone's chest cracked wide open. This child, this impossibly strong, impossibly brave child, had held on because she believed in him. Had fought because she knew he'd find her. I'll always come for you, he said, his voice rough with emotion he no longer tried to hide. Always, no matter what, no matter where. You understand? Amy nodded against his shoulder. As the SUV pulled away from the warehouse, leaving Victor to coordinate cleanup, Tyrone made a call. Get me everything on Dmitry Volkov. Every account, every property, every person he's ever cared about, and then systematically destroy it all. Boss, that'll take. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what it costs. He took something from me. Now I take everything from him, starting tonight. He ended the call and held Amy closer, feeling her breathing even out as exhaustion finally claimed her. She was safe. She was home. And God help anyone who ever tried to take her from him again. 3 weeks had passed since the kidnapping. 3 weeks of heightened security, of Amy waking up screaming in the middle of the night, of Lily's protective instincts going into overdrive. But slowly, carefully, life had begun to resemble something normal again, or at least, their new normal. Amy sat at the kitchen counter on a Saturday morning, her tongue poking out in concentration as she drew. Beside her, Lily sipped coffee and read the news on a tablet Tyrone had given her, and Tyrone himself stood at the stove, attempting to make pancakes without burning them. You're supposed to flip them before they smoke, Amy observed helpfully. I'm aware. He slid a spatula under a pancake that was definitely darker than intended. Cooking isn't my strongest skill. What is your strongest skill? Lily asked, amused. Keeping you two alive, apparently. It was said lightly, but all three of them knew the weight behind those words. After Amy's rescue, Tyrone had unleashed something on the city that people were still talking about. Dmitry Volkov had fled to Moscow, his entire organization dismantled in 72 hours. Every business, every asset, every ally systematically destroyed. The message had been received. Tyrone Portis protected what was his with absolute merciless totality. But here, in the quiet morning light of his penthouse, he was just a man trying to make breakfast for a woman and child who'd become his entire world. I finished my drawing, Amy announced, sliding the paper across the counter. Tyrone set down the spatula and picked it up. His expression softened immediately. The picture showed 3 figures, a tall man with tattoos, a woman with kind eyes, and a small girl holding both their hands. Above them, in Amy's careful 8-year-old handwriting, my family. He stared at it for a long moment, something working in his throat. Do you like it? Amy asked, suddenly uncertain. Like it? His voice was rougher than usual. Amy, this is... He cleared his throat. This is the best gift anyone's ever given me. Really? Better than all the expensive stuff people probably give you? Better than all of it combined. Lily reached over and squeezed his hand briefly. Over the past weeks, something had shifted between them too, not romantic necessarily, but a deep partnership forged in crisis. They'd become a unit, the 3 of them, a family built on a foundation of survival and impossible odds. I'm going to frame this, Tyrone decided, carrying the drawing toward his office. Put it somewhere I'll see it every day, even though people might think the scary mafia boss is going soft. Amy teased, using words she'd heard his men whisper. Let them think it. Anyone who's smart will understand that the things you protect most fiercely are the things you love most deeply. After breakfast, while Lily took a call from the job placement agency Tyrone had connected her with, Amy and Tyrone sat on the balcony. The city stretched below them, the same city where they'd both survived their own versions of hell, where a wrong number text had changed everything. Can I ask you something? Amy said, her legs swinging from the oversized chair. Always. Are we going to stay here? Forever? Tyrone considered the question carefully. Do you want to? Yes. But... She picked at the armrest. Mama keeps talking about getting our own place, about not imposing on you anymore. And I know she's right, that we can't just live here forever. But, her voice got very small. I don't want to leave you. Something in Tyrone's chest tightened. Come here. Amy climbed into his lap like she'd done dozens of times since the kidnapping, her small form fitting perfectly against his chest. He wrapped his arms around her. Amy, listen to me. You and your mama, you're not imposing. You're not temporary guests I'm tolerating until you leave. He tilted her chin up so she could see his face. You're my family now. The only family I've had in 15 years. And family doesn't leave unless they want to. So we can stay? As long as you want. And when your mama's ready for her own space, when she needs her independence back, we'll find you a place in this building. Top floor security. My men watching over you. Close enough that you can come have breakfast with me whenever you want. He smoothed her hair back. You're not getting rid of me, kid. Not ever. Amy hugged him fiercely. Good. Because I need you. I need you too, he admitted quietly. More than you know. They sat there in comfortable silence until Lily joined them, settling into the chair beside Tyrone's with her own coffee. She looked between them and smiled, the first genuinely peaceful smile Tyrone had seen from her. What are we doing today? She asked. Amy wants to go to that bookstore, Tyrone said. The one with the children's section that has the reading nook. Can we? Please? Amy bounced slightly in his lap. Of course. I'll have Victor arrange security. Do we really need security for a bookstore? Lily asked, though she already knew the answer. After what happened? We need security for everything. His tone left no room for argument. But it'll be subtle. You'll barely notice them. 2 hours later, they were at the bookstore, Amy in heaven among the shelves, Lily browsing the fiction section, and Tyrone standing nearby, looking completely out of place in his expensive suit among families in casual weekend clothes. Amy emerged with an armful of books. Can I get all of these? You can get every book in this store if you want, Tyrone said seriously. Tyrone, Lily protested. You can't just... I can, and I will. He crouched down to Amy's level, examining her selections. These look good, but you need to make me a promise. What promise? That you'll read them to me. I want to know all the stories you love. Amy's face lit up. Really? You want me to read to you? Every night, if you're willing. I've spent 15 years reading contracts and threat assessments. I think it's time I heard some actual stories. That night, after Amy had indeed read him 2 chapters of her new fantasy novel, Tyrone stood in his office staring at the framed drawing now hanging on his wall. 3 figures. A family. Victor found him there. Boss, I have the final reports on the Volkov situation. Every loose end is tied up. He's in Moscow, broke and broken. Won't be a problem again. Good. And the other families? They've all sent messages. Everyone understands the new reality. Victor paused. You protecting that woman and child has actually strengthened your position. Shows you have principles. Lines you won't let anyone cross. I don't care about positions or power anymore, Victor. Tyrone tapped the drawing. This is what matters now. These 2 people who shouldn't have survived their circumstances but did because an 8-year-old girl made a mistake with a phone number. Funny how mistakes work out sometimes. It wasn't a mistake. Tyrone's voice was certain. It was exactly what it needed to be. Amy needed saving. I needed saving. Neither of us knew it, but that text message saved us both. A soft knock interrupted them. Lily stood in the doorway, barefoot in pajamas. Looking uncertain. Amy's asking for you, she said. She wants you to say goodnight. Tyrone didn't hesitate, following her to Amy's room. The child was already tucked in, her rabbit under one arm, but she'd clearly been waiting. I forgot something, she said when he appeared. What's that? I didn't say thank you. For today, for the books, for everything. Tyrone sat on the edge of her bed, You don't have to thank me, Amy. Yes, I do, because you gave me something I never had before. Her dark eyes were serious, wise beyond her years. You gave me safety. Real safety. The kind where I don't have to be scared when I hear footsteps. Where I can laugh without worrying about being too loud. Where I can just be a kid. He had to swallow hard before he could speak. You deserve that. You've always deserved that. So do you, she whispered. Mama says you didn't have that either, when you were little. No, I didn't. Then we'll be safe together. You and me and Mama will be each other's safe place. Tyrone leaned down and kissed her forehead, something he'd done dozens of times now. A gesture that had become as natural as breathing. Deal. Now sleep. Brave girl, I'll be right down the hall. Promise? Always. He turned off her light and left the door cracked, the way she liked it. In the hallway, Lily was waiting. She adores you, Lily said softly. The feeling is mutual. I know. She studied his face in the dim light. You know what scares me? What? What? How easily this happened. How quickly you both became essential to each other. She paused. What happens if something ever separates you? If your world touches ours in the wrong way then I'll burn my world down before I let it touch either of you. He said it with such finality that Lily didn't doubt him for a second. My empire, my reputation, my life, all of it is secondary to keeping you both safe. That's what scares me. You'd give up everything. No. He met her eyes directly. I'd be giving up nothing and gaining everything, because everything that matters is right here, in this penthouse. In that little girl's drawings and her goodnight hugs and her belief that I'm someone worth trusting. Lily's eyes filled with tears. How did we get so lucky? To text the wrong number and find you? I think you had it backwards. Tyrone's rare smile appeared. I'm the one who got lucky. You two gave me something I thought I'd lost forever, a reason to be more than just the monster everyone expects. They stood there in the quiet hallway of a penthouse that had once been a fortress of isolation, but was now filled with laughter and children's books and drawings on the walls. Thank you, Lily whispered. For everything. For Amy. For us. Thank me by staying. Both of you. For as long as you can stand. My overprotective presence and terrible cooking. She laughed softly. I think we can manage that. Later, after Lily had gone to bed, Tyrone returned to his office one final time. He pulled out his phone and looked at the messages from 3 weeks ago, the thread that had changed everything. He locked Mama. Please help. I'm on my way. 5 words from a terrified child. 3 words in response. And somehow, impossibly, those 8 words had built a family from nothing. Tyrone's phone buzzed with a new message. Amy, from her tablet. Are you still awake? Yes, I can't sleep. Can you check the locks again? Already did. Twice. Everything is secure. Okay, I trust you. Good night, Tyrone. Good night, Amy. A pause then. I love you. Tyrone stared at those 3 words for a long moment. He'd spent 15 years convinced he'd never hear them again, never deserved to hear them again. And now an 8-year-old girl who'd survived hell had given them to him freely, without expectation, with complete sincerity. He typed back with steady hands. I love you too, brave girl. More than you could possibly know. He set down his phone and looked out at the city, his kingdom, bought with blood and defended with violence. But none of it mattered half as much as the 2 people sleeping peacefully down the hall. A wrong number had become destiny. A mistake had become salvation. And a man who'd sworn never to care about anyone had become a father to a girl who needed one, and a protector to a woman who deserved one. It wasn't the life Tyrone Portis had planned. It was infinitely better. And he would defend it with everything he had, for as long as he had breath in his body, because that's what family did. That's what love demanded. And after 15 years of cold isolation, Tyrone Portis had finally learned what it meant to come home. Thanks for staying with this story right till the final moment. You're the reason these stories come alive. If you're ready for another powerful journey, just tap the next video on your screen. And before you go, leave a quick comment and rate this story from 1 to 10. I'm excited to see your thoughts and connect with you down there.
Там кредиты и так далее настолько загоняют каждого в задницу человека. И об этом на самом деле никто так-то не говорит. Какое количество сейчас, допустим, даже в те же сложные времена такие, когда вот сейчас идет там специальная военная операция, да, где люди вообще умирают, в принципе, за какую-то сумму денег. Ну, то есть, какая мотивация, то есть, у мужика идти, типа, на войну, воевать и, ну, как бы, заработать денег? Потому что он вот в обычной жизни не понимает, типа, как реализовать себя. Ну, он понимает, что он может пойти работать на какую-то работу, где зарплаты его все равно не будет хватать. Как бы тут тоже двойственная сторона. Хорошо, когда она есть, плохо, когда ее нету. Да, вот это маленькая даже зарплаты. Но морально-то ты все равно подавлен. Ты понимаешь, да, я там пойду туда, но как бы смысла мне этого не принесет большого. Да, у меня там станет, если я вообще не работаю и буду работать за 50 тысяч, хорошо, что они у меня есть, я смогу там покушать себе купить. Но это же дизмораль. Когда ты заходишь в интернет и видишь, как люди там в Дубае летают, покупают себе огромное количество автомобилей какие-то. Ну, много всего такого, что ты за эту зарплату себе никогда в жизни позволить не сможешь. И как человеку оставаться морально типа сильным? Что ему нужно делать? Ну, наверное, во-первых, это, наверное, все от семьи исходит, да? То есть, какая семья у тебя, как она построена. Если ты один живешь, это сложно, да, ты будешь сам себя, но у тебя, опять-таки, возможно, ну, родители, если есть, которые друзья поддержат тебя в какой-то момент, хотя бы просто отвлекут тебя от этих мыслей. А если у тебя, к примеру, там, семья, жена, к примеру, да, есть дети, тут, наверное, поддержка только от них исходит какая-то. Вот. Чтобы не упиваться в своих мыслях о том, что какая нынче сложная жизнь. И, наверное, других-то вариантов, в принципе-то, и нету. Какие вот еще варианты, в принципе, изменить, поменять свою жизнь настолько, чтобы она была, ну, казалась тебе удачной, да, реализованным себя в жизни, в чем-то. В чем, вот как проявляется на самом деле у нас реализованность? Наверное, у 90% случаев это финансовое благополучие, финансовая независимость. Это, наверное, одно из таких ключевых моментов, когда человек, наверное, считает себя реализованным, да, в этой жизни. То есть, как добиться этого? То есть, с учетом того, что даже возьмем нашу страну, да, сколько миллионов людей здесь живет, как каждому добиться этого результата? Непонятно. И с каждым годом просто ситуация становится все хуже и хуже. Все дорожает, люди зарабатывают либо столько же. Ну, даже если они зарабатывают столько же, на самом деле этого все уже недостаточно. К чему это все приведет на самом деле? В оконцове, наверное, мир погрязнет в большую депрессию в какую-то. Какие-то войны, возможно, или еще что-то еще больше глобальных таких вещей, которые не приведут ни к чему хорошему на самом деле. Поддержка каждого человека именно для того, чтобы он держался, наверное, морально, заключается в том, что, ну, наверное, дом, в который ты приходишь, должен быть крепостью твоей. Да, что это единственное должно быть место, где ты будешь чувствовать себя под защитой. Для этого было придумано, наверное, своя пещера изначально, потом свои какие-то чумы, палатки различные, да, потом все это превратилось. На данный момент это у нас дома, квартиры, в которые мы приходим и должны ощущать себя в безопасности, чтобы можно быть немного морально расслабленным с учетом того, что ты выходишь каждый день на работу, на улицу, и все равно давление вот это вот, оно все равно присутствует. Когда ты заходишь в магазин, видишь цены эти, да, и так далее, не можешь себе что-то там приобрести, позволить, на ежедневной основе, это откладывает большой, наверное, отпечаток. Не, наверное, а точно. И поэтому, когда возвращаясь домой, ты чувствуешь, вот хотя бы есть типа уголок того места, куда ты можешь прийти. Уголок на самом деле человеку много тоже не надо. Можно хотеть большего, но на самом деле человеку одному много не надо. Да? Ему нужно спальное место, спокойное место, где можно подумать. Ну, это когда ты один, к примеру, да? Когда у тебя есть семья, к примеру, ты приходишь домой, опять-таки, и тут хотя бы, да, поговорить о каких-то вещах. Просто об отрешенных вещах, наверное. И, возможно, при этих же условиях у тебя и появляется какая-то дополнительная мотивация для реализации себя. А когда у тебя нету ничего, вот это уже становится проблемой. И это у многих на самом деле. Что значит не иметь ничего? Тут, наверное, самое главное, дизмораль у человека еще возникает при том, что это уже, наверное, где-то в глубине души даже она возникает при даже хорошей финансовой подушке такой, которая у тебя есть, хороших финансовых деньгах, да, то есть, но нету вот внутреннего ощущения, к примеру, дружбы, семьи, любви и так далее. Это уже отдельно на самом деле разговор, потому что мы, вот, к примеру, можем взять, как сейчас вот Новстрой, если кто-то смотрит, насколько тяжело обладать такими финансами и не иметь, по сути, ничего. Ни друзей, ничего не иметь. Так главное это получается для бедных главное деньги, для богатых главное какое-то внутреннее ощущение нужности, не из-за денег. Вот такое вот. И это борьба какая-то такая и вот эти два слоя общества, богатые и бедные, они друг друга не понимают. На самом деле из-за этого, возможно. Потому что богатый человек, он уже не смотрит на деньги, он не считает эти деньги. Ему важно внутреннее вот это вот ощущение того, что он нужен без них даже. Это как Тони Старку сказали: а кто ты без костюма? На вот это я филантроп, тудым-сюдым, он сказал, да? Так и человеку, у которого много денег, ты задашь вопрос: а кто ты без денег? Ну, что ты представляешь себе без денег? Вот, и это, наверное, возможно, таких людей богатых, как вот, например, там, Новстрой, задав ему этот вопрос: а кто ты без денег? Он на него ответить-то и не сможет. Обратная сторона людей бедных, да, вот если мы посмотрим, человеку